You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rants for Black and White Sports, and we're going to talk about LeWoke James. LeBron to James. LaChina James. He is narrating a pro BLM ad that is going to run during the All-Star game. That's right, the NBA All-Star game. Who knew it was this weekend? I certainly didn't know until I saw this. And I have seen the ad. It's the most irresponsible piece of trash you have ever seen. Violent propaganda, if you ask me. Okay? But, you know, we have found out that LeBron James is a hypocrite of monumental proportions. I did a video yesterday where China made a very, very anti-social justice ruling in court, and the NBA, LeBron James, and ESPN are all unbelievably silent right now. But he wants to run his mouth about false narratives like voter oppression and police brutality in this country. Well, LeBron is doubling down. He's doubling down. He's running a 51-second spot, the BLM is. He's narrating the whole thing, accusing Republicans of voter suppression against people of color. Isn't that interesting? So, this is from Fox News. We're going to talk about it. This is the death knell for the NBA. This is the death knell. LeBron James has been criticized for bringing politics into pro basketball. He doesn't plan to back down during the NBA All-Star Game in Atlanta. The LA Lakers star is set to lead a voting rights ad for More Than a Vote, his sham of a voter suppression group that he started that aims to stop voter suppression. James is the organizer of the group, which includes other black athletes and artists. It is unbelievable how LeBron James is continuing his quest to re-segregate America. Thanks for knocking America back about 60 years, LeBron James. The ad, the organization first of 2021, will air for the first time during the game. The 51-second spot accuses Republicans of voter suppression against people of color and reminds black voters that President Biden winning the 2020 presidential election was only the beginning of the electoral fight. Did he win? Quote, "Look at what we did." James, in a commanding voice, narrates a montage showing Biden's inauguration. Poet Amanda Gorman, U.S. Senator repugnant Raphael Warnock, a Democrat, and Georgia voting rights activist Stacey Abrams. Wow. Quote, "They saw what we're capable of." James continues narrating as images of Black Lives Matter protest flash on the screen, and they fear it. We've also seen the organization burn down everything in the country. Look, in the cities that will allow it to happen, for how many months now? That is really a proud achievement. Way to go. We have seen them stand outside people's houses with megaphones at 1 o'clock in the morning, demanding that people leave their homes that they paid for, okay? With their own money that they worked hard for, and this group demanding that they leave their homes. We'll get to the BLM in a minute. I've covered them a lot on my channel back when I was still doing politics. Sunday's game was moved to Atlanta from Indianapolis because of scheduling conflicts with the NCAA tournament. The venue switch gave James's group a chance to highlight Georgia, the state that Biden flipped blue for the first time in a generation and voted in Democrats Warnock and Joe, I don't even know that guy's name, ousting two Republican incumbents, in no small part because of black voter turnout encouraged by Abrams and others. By the way, the Secretary of State in Georgia launched an investigation into Abrams' activity. I don't know if anybody knows that, involving votes, where they found out that there could possibly be illegitimate possible voting irregularities there. LeBron James. More Than a Vote has been credited with help drumming up votes. James finishes the commercial by warning voters that Biden's win does not mean the supporters can get complacent or limit their activism to social media. For us, this is never about one election. As images of the civil rights movement flash across the screen, Martin Luther King would be ashamed of you, LeBron James. Just letting you know that. Quote, it's always been more than a vote. It's a fight that's just getting started. We've been ready. Are you with us? Basically, what happened was several states decided to make voting law changes that some would deem possibly, and I'm trying to clear this up for YouTube, possibly be deemed unconstitutional. Okay? But, you know, hey, there were judges that may or may not have been quoted as saying they were scared to see said cases because of the country burning to the ground if the election was to be flipped. Okay? So, what does that tell you? I'm not saying there was voter F, YouTube. Voter irregularities is how we're going to prescribe that. By the way, he also decided to throw in images from the Capitol because, as you know, there was 1 day of incident versus 9 months of assholes burning down the country and killing other black people, by the way, in the process. David Dorn in St. Louis ring a bell to anybody. It is unbelievable how irresponsible LeBron James is. I've said it's obvious LeBron follows a mainstream narrative. He follows, let's just be real, he follows a pro-black narrative. He wants the country to resegregate. Nobody is keeping black Americans from voting legally in this country, and they have not for many decades now. LeBron James. That is a false narrative. When I have went to vote in years past, it is a who's who of the color scale in the voting line. Nobody's suppressing a black vote at the voting centers in a very red area I live in that I have ever seen. Everybody is standing there. And guess what? Everybody is talking and having a good time and conversing amongst themselves in a non-COVID voting year. But look, it's funny how COVID just showed up, so mail-in voting would become a thing. In my opinion, outside of absentee balloting, people should have to vote in person and show an ID. Okay? They made these efforts to set up all these voting booths. Conveniently, he proclaimed that people were having a hard time standing in line waiting to vote. Well, everybody has always had to stand in line to vote. But he wanted to make sure that, how do I put this? The uneducated and the lazy had the ability to walk up and vote after a football game or after a basketball game or whatever. Okay? And by the way, that is not color dependent. That is people dependent. All right? There's lazy ass voters of all colors out there, and he wanted to make sure that the uneducated, the people that did not do their research on who they're voting for and their belief systems, as he supported Joe Biden. We've talked about Joe Biden's record when it comes to persons of color. God, I hate that term. It sounds racist, but look, the left loves it. The left finds that socially acceptable. That's a term that, in my opinion, should set black people back 50 years, but is the term they coined. I hate that term. John Matrixx loathes that term. And here we are, LeBron James, celebrating, stunningly, courageously, bravely, celebrating Black Lives Matter once again. Congratulations, Adam Silver. Your league is done. The NBA is dead. It is dead. Blatantly running an anti-Republican, it says that, an anti-Republican ad where you are drawing a clear line that you don't want conservative independents, you don't want conservatives, you don't want Republicans to ever support your league again. You have allowed LeBron James over the course of many years to cost your organization, your sports organization, billions of dollars. And in my opinion, if it wasn't for China, it would probably have already ended your league, or it would very shortly. Because you're not getting the dollars that you were once getting, and you're certainly not getting the ratings that you was once getting. And again, as LeBron James is promoting this social justice movement, he continues to be wildly silent about China. Now, keep in mind, Joe Biden and the left are very, very pro-LGBT, and China is not. Interesting. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.